Alphabet's Google met with Trump administration officials last week, urging the Justice Department to slow efforts to break up the search engine giant. That's according to reports. Now, Google has been pushing back on the Biden-era ruling for some time. A changing of the guard in Washington comes at a crucial time for the antitrust case, with the trial scheduled for April. Adam Kovacevich is the founder and CEO of Chamber of Progress, a trade group representing tech companies in D.C. He also previously led Google's U.S. policy, strategy, and external affairs team. So, Adam, you're the perfect person to chat with about this here. How likely is Google to be successful in your view, especially given the fact that there was so much optimism about regulation under the Trump administration, but then they came out and said they were actually going to mirror Biden-era regulatory policies?
Well, I think it depends on which branch of the Trump world kind of prevails in this case, right? So this was a case that was brought under the Justice Department under Trump's first term. The Biden Justice Department then prosecuted the case and won the case. So now it's in the remedy stage. So the question is, what remedies will the judge impose? The Biden Justice Department proposed what I would call like remedy spaghetti against the wall. They proposed nearly 30 different remedies, and some of these were very wide-ranging, including potentially requiring Google to spin off things like Chrome. These were very disconnected from the actual case. The problem is that if the Justice Department pursues these pretty wide-ranging remedies, the odds of losing increase. And this is exactly what happened with the Microsoft antitrust case in the late 90s. So the other thing that's a big tension here is you've got the Trump administration coming in and saying, look, we are in an existential fight against China on things like AI competition. Vice President Vance gave a big speech about this in Paris 2 weeks ago. And, here's one of our major competitors in Google, right? So what are we going to do? Hobble one of our main U.S. runners in that race by breaking up that company? It seems ill-timed to do that.
Adam, I'm curious just what you've made of the last several weeks, just in terms of if we take a step back from all of this, right, and talk about what is factoring into maybe some of the decisions that could come under the Trump administration. We obviously have seen, and I know you've written about it, I know you've talked about it a number of times, obviously more of a cozying up or more of a friendly sort of relationship between these tech leaders and the Trump administration. Is that something that you think is going to prove to be effective or beneficial? How beneficial here for the industry?
Well, I think there's a couple things going on. One, you've got these different branches of Trump world, right? So on the one hand, you've got a contingent that really doesn't like big tech, wants to punish big tech, particularly over things like speech and censorship. On the other hand, you've got a contingent that says, look, we need to nurture these companies. These are basically our best hope for beating China in AI. We also need to unlock merger and acquisition activities. Startups, there are not many startups going public, not many startups getting acquired. We need to unlock all of those things. But I think the other thing, frankly, is that tech industry learned from the first term that Trump doesn't respond to vinegar as much as he does to honey, right? That it's better to have a relationship with the administration. And so that's why I think you've seen all the CEOs try to build a relationship with him. I don't know if that has a carryover to the antitrust cases. These are years-long cases. It's not clear to me whether that translates into cases being settled or dropped.
And what would you say to voters who are concerned about this kind of tech oligarchy and the closeness of these tech billionaires with the Trump administration? What have these CEOs told you about what their end goal is?
Well, first of all, I think you got to put Elon Musk in his own category, because I don't think that's where most of the companies are. What I think most of the companies want is kind of not to be punished, to be able to operate. And, frankly, there was a lot of understandable exasperation that the Biden administration went after tech, right? I'm a pro-tech Democrat. I didn't like what the Biden administration did. And I think there's a hope, an optimism that you could have an administration that champions and nurtures this industry as America's, frankly, leading export. But, I think the jury's still out on what exactly happens. There's a lot of uncertainty, that Trump is provoking as a result of tariffs and things like that. So I think most of all, companies, kind of just want an end to kind of an antagonistic posture. And that's really what it's about. I think that it's also possible to say, look, we want to have progressive taxation. We want to scrutinize companies. We want to scrutinize moguls, but we don't want to break the services that Americans love. And I think that's a little bit of a nuance there.
Adam, let's switch gears here a little bit, sticking with the theme of the Trump administration inside the White House, but we're going to talk crypto. We have the summit set to take place tomorrow. Reporter Jennifer Schomburger was just on earlier today, just laying out who is going to be there, what to expect potentially from this. I know you have several partners within the crypto space. I'm curious what you're hearing from them and how optimistic they are about some of that clarity that we could gain.
Well, look, I'm a pro-crypto Democrat. I found the Biden administration's approach to crypto to be unnecessarily hostile. I think the administration has made some positive moves here, right? Naming David Sachs as crypto czar, holding this summit tomorrow. Most importantly, the SEC dropping some of its lawsuits against companies like Coinbase and Uniswap. That's all really positive. I think at the same time, there's been news, like a focus on the Trump family, focus issuing meme coins. That's a bit of a distraction. It's nowhere close to the most vital application of crypto. And I think, that's a concern. Frankly, the most important thing that needs to happen in crypto is that Congress needs to pass clear rules. There's bills that are bipartisan around stable coins and market structure, putting clear consumer protection rules, and we should pass those. And so I think that that's really what I hope we focus on. We'll see what comes out of the summit tomorrow. There's some questions about what this reserve fund might look like. We'll see.
We will see. All right, Adam, great to talk to you. Thanks so much.